There is a moment that some people never recover from, where everything falls apart. At the same time, the relationship, the money, the health, the identity, everything you built, everything you believed in, everything you thought made you who you are, gone, and you are left standing in the rubble of a life you no longer recognize, wondering if you have what it takes to build again. The Stoics did not just have a philosophy for success. They had a philosophy for the rubble. Stay with me. Marcus Aurelius lost multiple children during his lifetime. He fought a devastating plague that killed millions across his empire. He faced betrayal from people closest to him. And through all of it, he returned to the same practice. The practice of beginning again. Not from where he was. Not from what he had lost. But from exactly where he stood. In that moment, the Stoics called it Amor Fati. Love of fate. Not tolerance of what happened. Not acceptance with gritted teeth. Love. The radical idea that everything that has happened to you, every loss, every failure, every betrayal, every moment of complete destruction, was not happening to you. It was happening for you. Epictetus was born a slave. He owned nothing. He controlled nothing. He had no rights, no freedom, no possessions. And from that position of having absolutely nothing, he built one of the greatest philosophical minds the ancient world had ever seen. His students traveled from across the Roman Empire to sit at his feet. Not because he had wealth, not because he had power, but because he had rebuilt himself from nothing so completely that the wisdom he carried could not be found anywhere else. He said, seek not the good in external things. Seek it in yourself. When everything external is gone, that instruction becomes not philosophy. It becomes survival. The process of rebuilding from nothing is not about returning to who you were. The version of you that existed before everything fell apart was the version that the falling apart was designed to replace. You are not rebuilding the old structure. You are building something that the old version of you was not yet capable of standing in. Seneca wrote, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. The end is not the end. It is the clearing of the site for what is actually supposed to be built. Here is what the Stoics understood about rebuilding that most people miss. You do not rebuild with motivation. You do not rebuild with inspiration. You do not rebuild with the perfect conditions, or the right circumstances, or when you finally feel ready. You rebuild with one decision, made in the darkest moment, when everything inside you says it is over. You decide it is not over. That decision, made in the rubble, with nothing but the will to rise, is the most powerful moment of any human life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The obstacle is not blocking your path. The obstacle is your path. Every person who has ever rebuilt something extraordinary from nothing did it by treating their lowest point not as the end of the story, but as the most important chapter. The chapter where the real character was finally revealed. Not who you are when everything is fine, but who you are when everything is gone. Start where you are, with what you have. With who you still are. Underneath everything that was taken. Because underneath the loss. Underneath the failure. Underneath the version of you that fell apart, there is something that cannot be taken. The Stoics called it your inner citadel. The part of you that no circumstance can ever reach. Your values. Your will. Your decision to rise. Build from there. This is Stoic rules. You are not starting over. You are starting from experience. And that is infinitely more powerful than starting from zero.